All right, everybody, welcome back to the next edition of the Three Guys, One Mic podcast.
Podcasters you didn't know you needed, and also the ones you didn't really ask for.
Before we get into this, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We really want to, get our outreach up and share a little bit more of this podcast that you didn't know you needed, but other people also don't know they needed it. So share it with your friends. But Kody, this is another very special episode.
Oh, goodness.
You want to tell the audience what we're doing here today?
Yeah, for sure. So last week we talked about The Force Awakens, and I'm sure you guys just loved how much we bagged and discussed how much we loved the movie. So we decided this week to continue that amazing streak of how great the sequels were, and we're going to talk about The Last Jedi.
All right, Kody. I think you know what's going to happen before we get into this. Something that we really took to heart in our last episode, that Coca-Cola, that crack, was something else. It was actually some pretty good audio. So today to my right, I have a can of watermelon Mountain Dew. And you know what? Let's just get into this because it's going to be similar to the last episode. We kind of feel the same way, if not worse. So just, audience, get ready for this.
Do the do.
We're doing the do.
Oh, man. Again, I feel my mouth water at that.
Right. This
Amazing.
And we're not sponsored by Mountain Dew, but okay, Mountain Dew. This is balls in your court.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, we're open to it. But, Kody, just kind of a little bit of context going into this. We watched the film. Again, we watched The Force Awakens and then we recorded. We watched The Last Jedi, then we're recording now. Mm-hmm. With The Force Awakens, so what I've been doing is I've just kind of been taking notes, points of different things that we think are dumb or plot holes or just things that didn't work with the movie, and putting it in a Word document so we can look over it. And with The Force Awakens, I think I counted 48 of them.
Yeah, it was about that, yeah.
It was about 48. With The Last Jedi, that number more than doubled at 106. So be prepared for a longer episode. Don't be afraid to, maybe pause it, take breaks, but always come back. We have some interesting conversation. But Kody, since this is a long episode, let's get straight into it. What's the first point you want to make about the film?
Oh, man. Where do you even begin with this? Let's just talk about how they kind of destroyed a lot of the characters that they set up in the first movie to be punching bags in this one, which is, it astounds me. We can start with, honestly, just like you, was the third point? Hux. He's supposed to be this intimidating, scary guy. He's kind of like a general, and they just made him a punching bag for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, remember, I think when we were watching The Force Awakens, I did point out a positive. I know this wasn't relayed very well in the podcast, but the positive was, remember that Hux scene where he's giving this super, this speech in front of all the stormtroopers and how they're going to blow up the New Republic. That scene was awesome. That was really well done.
It was.
The acting was incredible by, I don't know his name, but it was done really well. And, he was built up to be this intimidating character, one who would personally meet Snoke alongside Kylo. That's how high up he was.
Exactly.
But in this movie, the grand entrance he had was a your mom joke. And even in the movie, it was one of those situations where basically they the good guys radioed in on him and they screwed with him by basically saying, oh, I can't hear you, I'll hold, whatever. And even one of the bad guys, his little officers was like, I think he's screwing with you, man. And so if it's that obvious for the characters to tell, it's obviously very obvious for the audience to tell. And just right off the bat, they just destroyed Hux, made him a non-factor, made him stupid, made him a punching bag.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like that problem with getting rid of your villains too early, which we will talk about a little bit more later. In The Force Awakens, Kylo, not intimidating anymore. He lost to Rey first fight, never trained. Same thing with Hux. You're kind of losing all of your villains here.
Honestly, yeah. I have no problem with having comedy in a Star Wars movie. You can see throughout all the franchise. There's always been a joke here and there. But if you have to resort to a Yo Mama joke to try and get laughs, even in the first 5 minutes of the movie, it's kind of just are you really that desperate to get somebody who's enjoying you? So yeah, that was kind of a bad thing. And kind of going with the Yo Mama joke, Poe was also another problem that we had here. Is just another thing that they screwed him up in this movie. They, I don't know, like he had the right idea with everything, and I think they kind of wanted to make him seem like this hot shot who doesn't know what he's doing at all, and they just wanted to make him look like an idiot in the first, and compared to the first one, where he was this great character that we were kind of excited to see develop throughout the rest of the sequels, and they screwed it over.
Yeah, they really did, and it was really obvious within the first 10, 15 minutes or whatever of the movie. Basically, Leia chews him out, which I didn't have a problem with.
Nah.
Basically, he disobeyed orders to destroy a ship. Lost a lot of lives in the process, but ended up succeeding. And then he's arguing with Leia, and chewing him out's okay. But there was like a little slap at the beginning too. It was like, like you're an idiot, like you're below me kind of slap, not like Princess Leia being a great leader. Just kind of making fun of him for no reason in that way. Demotes him, and then it kind of goes off the rails a little bit later on in the film, which we will get to. So now just talking about that first opening scene, there were like so many just little canonical issues with it, and just like basic logic issues, mostly to do with bombers. So there was a part in the opening sequence where they were destroying this big ship. It would have been great for them, the Republic, or the Resistance. That's another point we will have later on. But they had these bombers, and these bombers weren't like shooting bombs; they were dropping bombs, which begged the question, like, how is there gravity in space? And basically, literally, they just opened a little cargo pit and tried to drop bombs, and that didn't work at all. And then just a bunch of things were falling in gravity in space. It just doesn't make sense in the context of the lore. So like right off the rip, you could see what kind of movie this was.
Yeah. It didn't really make any sense with the whole gravity thing. Like they could have done it so many different ways to try and make it work, but they just didn't care. They're like, screw it, we're just gonna make this movie and just throw it at them, and they're just going to eat it up because it has Star Wars on the title.
Yeah, it didn't have to make sense. Which begs the second question. They have X-Wings. Obviously, the regular fighters. There's a thing called Y-Wings, which have been in the original trilogy, so don't tell me they're not like a thing yet. They're just literally bomber things. And so, like, why could the Resistance have X-Wings and not Y-Wings? Like, this could have been such an easy fix. They just tried to do something different, and it did not work at all.
It didn't. It just made them. It made the movie look stupid off the bat. And with the gravity thing comes the whole, being able to breathe in space. So we see in the beginning there's a bomber, and she's like the last one. Like all the other bombers have been destroyed, and she's like gonna save the day. So she falls down like.
She falls in space.
Yeah, exactly. Like the bottom of this bomber spaceship is open, so like you can't breathe if you're actually in there.
Yeah. And
she falls down into this exposed area of the ship, and for some reason still able to breathe, and I don't know, and is able to drop the bombs in the end. She saved the day. But my question is, how is she, first off, like you said, able to fall where there's no gravity? And second, how is she able to breathe where there's no oxygen in space? Is she some kind of like super high-tech alien or something?
Nope.
I don't know.
That's not a thing.
No.
It's not a thing in Star Wars, but just I know these are going to kind of seem like a little bit like, oh, you're just nitpicking, you just shut up and enjoy the movie. Well, like it's almost like a symptom of a larger problem. You're like seeing these like inconsistencies and just not even like paying attention to details, and that just kind of reflects in the rest of the film, I think, in larger ways. But anyways, we're going to move on with that opening scene. Another question I had is, if you guys noticed, if you watch The Force Awakens and then you watch The Last Jedi, why does Snoke look different? Like, the design of his face is completely different from the first one to the second one. I think in the first one he has like a bigger hole in his head, and then like his face is a little bit more lopsided. The second one, he just looks different. Like, I just don't understand. Like, just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Consistency.
I mean, like, kind of going back to how we kind of ended things with our last podcast with Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke, and how it's kind of like J.J. Abrams kind of handing it off to Ryan. And you can see in the beginning shot with Rey and Luke what exactly Ryan did with this movie. He threw it, he tossed it to the side. He didn't care what it was, and that's exactly what he did with everything that we've been discussing just here right now. Like, He honestly didn't care.
Yep. Kind of building off of that point, Luke throwing the lightsaber. I don't. It was done to get a cheap laugh, and that's not a good thing because it just context is everything with a lot of things.
Exactly.
If she had handed him like a rock or something, he could have tossed it. I don't know why she would, but you see what I'm saying. That lightsaber was literally the last time he saw it was when it was connected to his hand before Vader chopped it off, and it was his father's lightsaber. So like the reaction to just toss it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be like a super emotionally connected object for him, right?
Yeah, and I guess they tried to say that because of how he failed Ben Solo is because of why he decided to throw the lightsaber aside, which it has no, it doesn't even mean anything. That doesn't even make any sense. Luke is the kind of person who is full of hope. Reason why the title of the first movie is actually A New Hope is because, you know, he was the hope of the galaxy, and he is a person who sees good in everything and everyone, and also respects the Jedi ways completely. And just for him to throw aside a lightsaber that, like you said, was his father's, it's totally against it. It's like a 180 of the character. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it is like a big 180 of the character. It's like a fundamental misunderstanding of the character or just disregard or disrespect from it. Yeah. And that's just, it's going to be a common theme throughout the movie. Also, okay, so moving into a lighter point, I think porgs are stupid.
Those little like small alien things.
Yeah, the little small alien things that just make weird noises. Like it just annoyed me. It was another one of those things that they did for a cheap laugh.
Oh yeah, and to sell merchandise. Honestly,
like, yeah, merchandise.
How many kids are gonna see that and say I want one, and they're gonna get like this baby stuffed animal of the same thing and make a whole bunch of money
for
off
like
of it.
$17.99
exactly,
a pop.
Yeah.
You know, something stupid.
That's all it was. Cheap laughs and just merchandise selling. It was a waste.
How about point 14? I think this is a big one. Kind of just in terms of the story progression.
My gosh. I think, so our point number 14 is that we were robbed of the moment when Luke finds out that Han Solo is dead. When he sees Chewie and he kind of like puts two and two together how he doesn't see Han with him. He's like, where's Han? Or something like that, right? And so we cut to Hux and Snoke talking, which it sucks because like that is a really important moment that we needed to see. You know, that's his best friend, that's his brother-in-law, I guess, if you want to think about it that way too. They went through a lot together, and they just we don't get to see that moment. It would have been cool to even see like Luke feeling in the Force that he was missing too. That would have been really good to kind of look back at, and even in The Force Awakens that would have been really cool to see, but of course they needed to have him appear at the ending of the movie, but it just really sucks that we didn't get to have that moment. Right,
the emotional moment, like think about it, like Luke and Han and Leia in this trilogy is kind of, more spoilers, obviously this is spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot to mention it, but this is the first 15 minutes. Like, if you watch it, like, you don't get a moment where they're all together. So we're robbed of that, and then we're robbed of, like, the emotional weight, you know, the reaction that Luke would have to Han actually dying, which is, you know, a key character, obviously, two key characters. Really disappointing. And then if they would have, you know, obviously they probably would have told him Kylo did it. Like that would have impacted his character a lot too, in a way, and that could have influenced the story and influenced the character going forward. Maybe try to make some sense of him, which you really can't in this movie. I'm gonna go to another point. What is the deal with Snoke and Kylo's relationship in this movie? It was just a stark 180. Right? Yeah. Like, in the first one, it was basically, obviously, there was a master-apprentice relationship that was like, hey, I'm teaching you, you know, it's fine. No, it's fine, he lost, but, you know, hey, let's go get Kylo, let's round him up. We're getting off this planet, have him come to me, right?
Exactly.
And then when he does come to him, he just berates him, and then Kylo becomes another punching bag in this film. And then how much he hates Vader's mask. Out of nowhere, he probably would have had a problem with it before. I don't know. Just a lot of stuff just isn't explained there, like that relationship.
No, I guess you could probably even argue that maybe he's like acting this way because he wants Rey to be his new apprentice. Maybe I don't know, but it's still like they gave no context or even an implication of why he was acting the way he was.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to another point that was really weird. Is like, what was the whole point of Snoke making the connection between?
Oh, we'll get to that
Rey
later. That's later in the film.
Gosh, it doesn't make any sense at all to me.
It's terrible. Okay, kind of building off of your point, kind of like you're saying, maybe he wants Rey to be his apprentice. Well, like, yeah, I guess that could be like a viable theory, but the problem is, like, I'm not going to sit here and write the script for the director. No. Like, like, that's just writing the script for them and coming up with excuses for him. Like, the film did not provide reasonable explanation for any of that, right? So that's what you can sit here and speculate, but the fact of the matter is nothing was there. There was no substance. I'm going to move on a little bit because there's a bunch of smaller points. Okay, so Luke's whole thing in this movie, before we get to that, Luke and the space cow scene.
Oh, gosh.
It's just basically another scene where basically Luke milks some sort of weird space cow thing and drinks the milk straight out, and it's very cringe to the audience. It's very cringe to Rey. It's like cringe to everybody, and it was clearly done to just crap on Luke.
Yeah, it was just another way to disrespect him, and it was absolutely terrible.
Yep, and there's literally no reason for it if you're trying to, obviously for Luke Skywalker.
The movie would have been the same without that scene in it.
Oh, it would have been probably better. By half a star, maybe. I don't know.
Half a star.
But another big point, Luke's kind of whole reason for being on the island, which doesn't make sense because of the map and he was found, but we already got into that in the last episode.
Yeah.
Luke's whole thing is that the Jedi are flawed and they made a lot of mistakes and that's why they need to end. But, like, doesn't he think that Kylo and Snoke are worse? So, like, why is he just sitting there doing nothing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, if you're reading off of point 12, I'm assuming, right?
Mm.
So, like, if you want to try and draw comparisons and parallels to the two movies, Luke Skywalker in the end of A New Hope, he pretty much goes to find Yoda in the Dagobah system. And he finds him, and Yoda, who we see from the prequels, he saw the whole collapse of the Jedi Order. He saw the Chosen One turn into one of the most feared Sith Lords in the galaxies. And he still saw Luke and saw a moment and a way to actually bring balance back to the Force. And so he trained Luke, and he wasn't really bitter. He was really wise about everything, too, because of what he saw. And we see Luke, who saw his nephew be a little angry and get a little dark and turn to the dark side, and because of that, he completely shuts off all hope and a reason to even train Rey.
Yeah, no, he just he basically doesn't give the benefit of the doubt to Rey that he received in the original trilogy,
exactly.
Right? Which it's kind of contradicts Luke's character.
Exactly.
Just a lot. Moving on to another really stupid lore-breaking thing. Light speed tracking.
Well, yeah, I don't understand
Hyperspace
that.
tracking? Yeah, I didn't understand it. They didn't really give much explanation. They just said it's a thing now.
Yeah.
And, like, it's one of those things where, like, you got to be careful in a pre-established universe to not introduce these game-breaking, right, like, types of things where, like, oh, we can just light speed track now. We can just track people through hyperspace. Like, that's, like, huge. Like, that changes the implications of things moving in the future, and then people would have been, like, in the past, like, what if they could have just tracked them through light speed? It's possible. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, like, opens up this whole can of worms in canon, which, some people don't think is a big deal. I do.
Yeah, well, they needed it to move the plot forward, so fortunately, it needs to happen.
Right. It's just another cool-sounding thing, but...
Yeah. But that kind of brings it to a different point that probably isn't on here, but why are they making them so OP? The First Order. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how OP they are. They're always making them seem ridiculous. Like, I guess with the Death Star, it was kind of a cool way to show how much they progressed from, the actual original Death Star. It was called, like, Starkiller Base, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of cool to see, but, like, this is kind of getting ridiculous, seeing how OP they are and how the rebels, resistance, never have a chance at all against them, which is kind of annoying, in my opinion.
Yep. It is really stupid, and it's just, like, basically, it's the J.J. Abrams problem. I know Rian Johnson wrote this crap movie, but it's like the J.J. Abrams thing where it's like, oh, I can't think of anything original. Let me just do the same thing but bigger.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that, but I mean, this is obviously a little bit more unique. I've never seen anything, but it's more lore breaking too.
Yeah, it is.
Which is the problem with it. Moving on to a next like part of the movie. This one kind of bothered me. Why couldn't Kylo finish the job on Leia when he had the chance, but like killed Han? I mean, like it doesn't make sense with this character, with like how he's trying to go dark. I know he's conflicted and everything, but when he tried to like, you know, especially after like the chewing out he got from Snoke, when he tried to like kill his mom and be like, hey, like just prove himself to Snoke a little bit more, so you know he would lay off or like still like accept him.
I didn't get that. Like, that would have been easier for him to just shoot her down too, because it wasn't like in his face like when he killed his own father. So it doesn't make any sense to me why that was so hard for him to do. But I mean, hey, it didn't matter because the TIE fighters just kind of shot down the brig of the ship anyways after he kind of like hesitated, which brings on to the next point.
Yeah. Okay. So this is another like canon one. Like you would assume that these big like starships have deflector shields. And so, like, there's one part in the movie where some TIE fighters go in and shoot the bridge. And for you guys who don't know, the bridge is, like, the main area where people, like, hang out and commandeer the ship.
Yeah.
So, like, these two TIE fighters just go in and shoot the bridge and blow the whole thing up. Mm-hmm. Which, like, that's, like, oh, it's a minor thing. No, it's a huge thing. Like, this changes the way space battle tactics would happen. Like, think about the prequels, the original trilogy. Yep. If all you had to do was shoot the bridge, like... You know, these tactics would be so much easier. Like, it'd be so much easier for, like, a rebel force to take out, like, a huge Star Destroyer, you know, in the original trilogy. So it's, like, it just doesn't make sense that, yes, they're supposed to have deflector shields. And then, like, in the very next scene, which really did bother me, they're basically, like, the bad guys are chasing the resistance, and they're like, why can't we shoot him down? And then he literally, like, the bad dude literally says, like, oh, no, their shields are too strong from this range, when clearly, like, in the scene before... There's no such thing as deflector shields. So, like, pick one.
I know, exactly.
Actually, no, don't pick one. Pick the one that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, I remember there was a whole episode of Clone Wars that was just talking about how, like, how the deflector shields even work, too, and, like, how it was, like, a serious battle and how they had to, like, do different tactics trying to, like, get around it. And so then they kind of, like, puke up this piece of crap. I don't even know, like, that one scene... They're shooting, and you can see the shield appear when they try and shoot the ship too. The next scene, all of a sudden, the bridge explodes. How does that even make sense at all?
No, like what you can't. And don't try to write the story for them. Don't say they were trying to like put the power into their boosters to get away faster. Like don't write the story for the director. He didn't. Like, you stop writing it for him. Like, just don't do that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's an inconsistency. It's a plot hole. It's just, it hasn't made any sense ever. Okay, we can beat that point to death.
Well, honestly, like, this whole scene, it goes against everything that was Star Wars and honestly, anything that makes sense. Because after they destroy the bridge, we have our beloved heroine... Leia, she flies out and we think, oh my gosh, this is going to be the end of Leia. Now all we have is Luke of the original 3.
And I believe she passed away too before this movie came out.
Yeah.
So they would have been like, perfect ending.
A good
well,
way
not perfect, but
it wouldn't be like a respectful way to honor her death. But it was pretty much the way it would have made sense. She's not going to be coming back. And instead, she flies like Superman back to the ship.
It was like the most cringe scene.
Apparently unconscious as well, because she comes back and she's not even awake.
Yeah, she's out in the vacuum of space, freezing space, no oxygen, unconscious. Which, if you're unconscious, you would be involuntarily breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't that kill you in space? But no, screw that. Let's forget that. And then she does the dumbest Superman thing I've ever seen. Sticks her right hand out, and then it doesn't even look like she's flying. It just looks like a magnet's pulling her back to the ship. They pull her in, and then she's just in a coma. So why would you try to why would you kind of set it up to kill her and then not? And then when you don't, it's done in the stupidest way.
I know they were trying to show that she was force sensitive throughout the movies. They would hint at it here and there, she would sense someone was dying or sense something else. But that is the most atrocious way to show that she has force powers. Because last time I checked, I didn't know you could fly through the force. Is that a thing?
Good question. For another time. And that is the sequel trilogy, ladies and gentlemen. There are so many points, like I kid you not, that we're going to get to. It's like, this just doesn't make any sense. Like, literally, I can't, like, sit there in the mind of the director or any, like, creative person there and be like, yeah, like, this made sense in any way. Not, like, just in a Star Wars way, just, like, in any sort of logic way.
There's no, like, well, I guess we already established you can breathe in space, so that's kind of logical.
Yep. It's something else. Okay, then that leads us to our next point. Leia's in a coma, point 29. Really important one. Basically, Poe had already gotten demoted, and then Vice Admiral Holdo, the worst leader in the history of leaders, gets appointed as a leader, and basically just makes fun of Poe and is super rude to him for no reason, even though, I know he did screw up, whatever. But, obviously he's trying to help. He's trying to do right. Like, you can obviously use that in a positive way. But then she just berates the guy.
Yeah. He was trying to make up for his mistake. He was trying to be a good soldier and a good follower by saying, hey, what are we supposed to do now? Like, I'm trying to follow the orders you give me, so what are they? And she, like you said, she berates him for asking what exactly is the plan. And she tells him, I know guys like you're hot shots, you're trigger happy, and like I'm sitting here looking at this guy like he just wants to know what he can do to help. Like she doesn't give him anything.
Here's the quote. She literally says to Poe, quote, stick to your post and follow my orders. And then I'm just like, what orders?
Exactly, what are they?
You have no orders. You're just like, literally just sit down, shut up, listen to me. You got D rank, screw you, you're terrible. Like, that's literally what the scene is. And it comes across as that. Oh, gosh.
Throughout the whole movie, she just shows how much she should not have been in power.
No. Okay. Bad point. Let's go to 31, because this is another big character kind of in the movie. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, like what is up with... Okay, I guess because Finn has been really thirsty for Rey throughout the first movie and this one.
That's the only word Finn knows, by the way, in this whole trilogy is Rey. Like, does he just speak in Rey?
Rey?
The language of Rey?
Rey. Like, honestly, like... This girl has shown no interest in him except for maybe one physical contact, maybe twice, when they hugged and she held his hand to pick him up so they can run away from being shot at.
No, that was it. No. It was when he told her he was part of the Resistance. She
was
kind of like...
Oh, yeah, okay, she was kind of interested then. And that was it, though. Throughout the rest of the movie, I feel like she has shown no way or form of affection towards him, so they needed to create some kind of love interest, right? We need some love interest for this guy. And so they created Rose. Who is actually the sister of the anti-gravity chick who died in the beginning of the movie.
AGC. Anti-gravity chick.
So, I guess, apparently, Finn is now a hero because he...
was selfish and blew up Starkiller Base just to save Rey.
Exactly, yeah. So she's like, you're the Finn. You're so amazing. Like, oh my gosh.
She fanboys him.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no point to it. How did she find out? Because we didn't really say at this point, but this movie pretty much picks up right exactly where the last one ended.
Yeah, no time jump whatsoever.
Exactly. None.
Just like seconds after.
Exactly. And so, like, how could she even know that quickly about what Finn did? And it doesn't make any sense why she's fangirling this much for, this guy who really didn't do much in the first movie. So this whole Rose character was just an exploit to kind of give Finn a love interest, because obviously Rey was not going to be the one.
Yeah, and the other thing with it is, like, he was trying to escape and then she stuns him and stuff, and like he's like, okay, I'm just trying to get away, blah 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 blah, and then like they have this like little short conversation, and then Finn just becomes like poster boy for the Resistance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand this change of heart. His motivation has never been for the Resistance. It's always been to get away and to save Rey. That, like, literally, get away, save Rey. That could be like a slogan.
I was thinking the same thing.
Get away, save Rey. That's his motivation. But then he becomes this, like, literal, just like this soldier of justice for the Resistance, and he's like, we need to do this, we need to save him, we need to come up with a plan. And then, like, you want to talk about the plan they come up with to, like, go behind Holdo's back? Really stupid.
Yeah, so I guess they realize that they can't jump through hyperspace because Finn knows that they can track when they hyperspace jump. And so his plan is to turn off this kind of tracker beam that they have on this planet, so they can't really track him at all anymore. And so they try to break onto they have to get under the detection of the First Order or something.
Get out of the range.
Yeah. It's kind of just all over the place, honestly. And so they do this to pretty much save the rest of the resistance on the ship that's pretty much losing power, losing gas.
And the reason they do this is because Holdo won't say anything about a plan to anybody, not just Poe.
Exactly. Like, it's not even their fault. It's Holdo.
Who cares?
Yeah.
What her name is. She's terrible. She's like a terrible leader, terrible character. Like, literally the only reason they're planning to go behind her back and do this crazy, stupid plan is because she won't tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
So, like, and then it's just, and, you know, it's pretty obvious in the course of the film. It's not just Poe. It's, like, everybody. And he does get some help from, like, the other crewmates, you know, to, like, get off and, like, go to this planet to find, like, a code breaker. Right? To break down some shields so they can, you know, jump through hyperspace after they shut down the tracking thing. It's really stupid. The whole plan, like, it's like just a giant waste of time. Like, this could have all been resolved with like 3 seconds of Holdo, like, pulling Poe aside and, like, look, this is what we're doing. Exactly. Shut up. Like, I need you to...
Like, morale booster or something.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I need you to, like, trust me on this. This is what we're doing. This is our plan. Just we need you to do your job. Be a part of this. Like, that would have been fine for Poe.
Perfect.
Yeah, like, but no, she can't even do that. Stupid. Okay, this is the part you wanted to talk about. Number 36. Second page.
My gosh, yeah.
This thing.
Like, okay, so I've never heard of something called a force link before.
I have.
But I mean, like, I guess, like, maybe you can, like, Luke and Leia kind of have that kind of thing as well. But that's kind of also a twin thing. But, like, this a forced force link that Snoke apparently did between Rey and Kylo is really interesting and provides no... I don't know. He doesn't really explain why he even did it. Was he trying to get Rey over to him so he can try and invite her to the dark side? Was he trying to turn Kylo more to the dark side? Like, it doesn't make sense why they had that connection and why it was so important to the plot of the movie. Yeah,
and I have heard of, like, force bonds. I think that's what they're going for.
Maybe.
Like, there's, like, a video game series back in the day, old games called Knights of the Old Republic. If you haven't played it, go ahead and play that. But that's, like, a big plot point is two characters, like, have this bond. But that was, like, done through a lot of trauma experience together, something like that, and the force, like, linked them. It's just this random guy we know nothing about, Snoke, just links them. But yeah, for questionable motives. Like, we don't know what's going on, and it's never really explained, so it's just stupid. Another point, why is just Luke plain rude to Rey all the time? I know I don't like Rey as a character, but, like, that doesn't make sense for Luke's character either.
Exactly.
Like, when Luke's trying to train Rey, he gives her a few lessons at the beginning. He's just a complete D-bag. Like, he goes like, hey, Rey, close your eyes and reach out, and then she, like, reaches her hand out, which, like, I think is stupid, you know, because it was done to get a cheap laugh. But then he makes fun of her and smacks her hand too. It's like, dude, this chick, I know she beat Kylo because she's a Mary Sue, but, like, she doesn't know what the Force is or what you're talking about. Like, and it just made no sense for his character. Like, another way to disrespect him and just every character involved.
Yeah, it just went against everything that Luke stands for, and I know they wanted to make him like this grumpy old hermit man, but that's not Luke's character. It's not who he is, and so it's just another way to disrespect him, and honestly disrespect Rey as well. She's just trying to learn, even though, you know, again, she's the Mary Sue. But
go to point 39. I think this is a big one. A lot of misconceptions can be born off of this point. Basically, the idea of balance in this movie, Snoke describes, like, a part where it's like darkness rises and light rises to meet it, basically. So there's, like, balance in the universe, like dark and light. But, like, that idea of balance, I literally put it, that idea of balance is whack, because, like, in Star Wars at least, that's not what balance means. No. Like, if you look at, like, the prophecy from, like, the prequels, right? They basically says the Chosen One's going to destroy the Sith, bring balance to the Force. Balance is achieved through the absence of evil, obviously, not equal light side, dark side on each side. So, like, why is this a thing?
Because they wanted it to. Good question for another time.
Good question for another time. Like, I don't even know if it's that they wanted it to. I just don't know if, like, Rian Johnson understands Star Wars.
No, exactly. I think that was a problem. He doesn't understand the Star Wars definition of what balance is with the Force. He just thought, okay, balance means there has to be something equal on both sides. So that's why he created that dumb line to make us, I don't know, think that there's a new form of balance with the Force. And so, I don't know. They just, because they wanted to, is honestly my guess is why it's a thing.
Because it's like probably just like a different idea or something.
Yeah, I think
and he doesn't understand it.
That's the problem with having two different directors doing two different movies. Is because
in a pre-established universe.
Exactly. Yeah, they want to go two different directions with their views and ideas of something that's already established, like you said, and it creates this, The Last Jedi. Crap.
It's terrible. Also, a really important point with point number 40. You probably won't exactly see what I'm talking about, but bear with me. Why did Luke cut himself off from the Force?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, not that he cut himself off from the Force, and that's not what Luke would do, because, like, I believe that as well. But, like, it contradicts something he says earlier in the movie, where he says, basically he's teaching Rey, and he says, you feel lightness, right? You feel the light side of the Force. You know, she's reaching out. And he's like, with the absence of Jedi, doesn't mean there's an absence of light in the Force. Like, it's vain to say that. Like, can you feel that? And, like, basically, the very next, you know, he cut himself off. So, like, that doesn't make sense. You know, he can have the Force be a light side, exactly, you know, influence in the galaxy without the Jedi, according to him. But then he doesn't do that in word and action. It just doesn't line up. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, the movie can't even get itself straight.
Yeah, no, I think Kristen, your wife, said it beautifully when she said the contradiction is strong within this one.
Oh, it's somewhere in here. It's somewhere in here. I put that. It's probably like 50 or something.
But, you know, yeah, honestly, everything contradicts what Star Wars is in this movie. And it kind of did in a little bit in The Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. But in The Last Jedi, it just blows everything out of the water.
Dude, it does. It really does. There's just so many contradictions. Like kind of going back to that point of, like, I don't understand what they're going for. Like, in the what are you laughing at? Which point?
Well, no, exactly. Like, I don't know exactly what they're going for either. Like, they just wanted to make a movie, I guess. Like,
okay, point 41. When Rey and Kylo are space talking together. Rey calls Kylo a monster, and he goes, I am. And, like, so, like, not only is that cringe and stupid, it's stupid because, like, when you learn later on in the movie, Luke tries to kill Kylo, mm-hmm, but in Kylo's mind, would that make Kylo the monster for doing what he did?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So then why is he describing himself as a monster? Again, the movie has no freaking idea, mm-hmm, what it's going for. And again, we'll get to that point later because it's in here. The next one, point 42, they go off on that whole scene to get, you know, the code breaker. They park their, like, ship on the beach.
Yeah, what the heck?
They get, like, and it's literally like some dude's complaining about them parking in the wrong spot. The police come and tase Finn and Rose and jail them for a parking violation. It was like the dumbest thing.
Okay, man, you know what? The First Order is serious about those parking violations.
It's not even the First Order. It's just Canto Bite. It's just like the local security police or something. They're just, like here are those people who parked on the beach illegally, and they tase the freak out of them, throw them in jail. Just the logic there, like, that makes no sense to me.
Honestly, could you imagine that happened to us on 4th of July when I was parking?
The flag, you didn't have a flag in your car. This guy runs up to you and tases the crap out of you.
Imagine that?
And throws you in jail.
Throws me in jail for parking on the beach for
not even a ticket. Like, they couldn't have given the Canto Bite ticket equivalent. No,
jail
just
time.
Just tased and jailed.
I mean, they needed that to move the plot along to meet the master code breaker or whatever.
Which wasn't even him.
No, exactly. It didn't even. Gosh, this is.
How about point 43? Why do none of the aliens look like your classic Star Wars aliens? Another complaint I had from The Force Awakens that also carried over. There's just, like, weird aliens. It does not feel Star Wars.
It doesn't, like, at all.
You'd be hard-pressed to look in the crowd and find, like, a Twi'lek. Or, like, I know, this just sounds super nerdy.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, you know, or, like, you know, any common Star Wars race that you've seen in, like, canon, like, Clone Wars, there's just nothing there. Like, there's obviously no Jawas, but, like, even on the Sand Planet, I didn't see a Jawa anywhere. It's just...
It's a waste. This whole they wanted to create their own universe and world, and in result of it, they just turned everybody off to Star Wars. Not even they didn't even turn everybody off to Star Wars because that's a lie. People still love Star Wars, thank goodness. But honestly, I remember we were talking about this earlier. Everybody loved the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Hated the prequels. Sorry, when they first came out, and now they love them because of what the sequel gave us. They gave us crap, and so we turned to what we thought was crap before, and we see how amazing it actually was. And that's exactly what J.J. Abrams and Ryan did. They helped us love the prequels more.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ryan, for. There's a little bit of silver lining, but we're not even close. Kody, take the next point. Something that bothers you that maybe be on this list.
Oh my gosh, 45. We gotta talk about this. Okay, so I know how every time we always talk about how much of a Mary Sue Ray is, everyone's like, but she did train. Okay, I'm sorry. If you consider grabbing a lightsaber and throwing your arms around and kind of just like slashing at the air is training, then man, call me a master Jedi, because I used to do the same thing when I was a kid all the time. Like, I don't know, she starts wielding her little stick staff thing around at a rock, and then she's like, let me grab a lightsaber now. And all of a sudden, she's like this master.
Doing all these crazy maneuvers.
Yeah,
and stuff.
like, is that training now?
Bro, if that's training, me beating the crap out of my buddy with that plastic lightsaber, I am a Sith Lord. It's the logic in this movie. There's not even Star Wars logic. Just basic logic is just absent.
Like every hero needs some kind of form of training, and Rey received none. She trained herself,
Here's another problem about this film. It's gonna encompass a few points. Political messages in Star Wars for no reason. Like, there's a political message about how the people on that like fancy planet that are super rich and gambling and stuff are evil because they sell weapons to the First Order. Then we find out later they also sell weapons to the Resistance as well. It's just this like pointless political message. How about animal rights in Star Wars? Because this is what I put: animal rights in Star Wars. ... Because yeah.
Because yeah.
Like, literally, there's no reason. They're like so pissed off that these like animals are being used to like race, like horse race essentially. Yeah. And then like in that same scene there's literally like little slave kids.
Yeah, I know,
and
right?
They don't care.
No, they don't at all. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, I know the big thing about Star Wars and the prequels was a little bit of slavery there too, but that kind of drove the movie. The other movies as well, because, it kind of shows where Anakin came from. It shows how he got a little close to the dark side in the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, because his mom died, because she was sold off and everything. And, it makes sense because it shows that the Jedi can't save everybody when it comes to slavery. But this, I think they were just trying to be political by doing a Star Wars movie.
Just for the sake of being political.
Yeah, they wanted to be deep, but they didn't do anything.
And people, like, you were kind of hitting on this point. We're just talking amongst ourselves yesterday that, people didn't like the prequels because of all the politics, but it was, like, in-universe politics.
Yeah, it was Star Wars politics.
It was Star Wars politics that pushed the plot forward and made sense. This is just kind of thrown in there from the real world to not make any sense.
Yeah, like, Star Wars is, in the title, it's a war in space, in the galaxies, and a big thing, a big part of war is politics, and which was great how George Lucas touched that in the prequels, and also the Clone Wars and everything else that happened in between. But this is just saying, hey, everything's happening in the real world, we're going to address in this movie, and it just didn't really work out very well. It just kind of thrown in there, kind of like it didn't. It was like puke, It
was like haphazardly thrown in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to prove a point.
Half-baked idea.
Half-baked idea. Oh, my goodness. Don't get me started on that. How about point 53? This is the thought I had while I was watching the whole casino stuff and everything that was going on at that point. Point 53. Go ahead and review that. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, this whole movie is a waste of time to the plot of Star Wars, and I agree. I feel like if we didn't have the Last Jedi, it wouldn't change these last sequels very much. Like, maybe we wouldn't see too much of the connection between Rey and Kylo, and we would kind of question what happened with Snoke. But honestly, like, without that movie, if we just went from The Force Awakens to The Rise of Skywalker, it wouldn't. I wouldn't be too lost because
Right.
I was lost during the Last Jedi.
Like, it's like I'm sitting there watching this movie with like all these weird threads, and I'm just like, I'm bored, and I'm like, what's the point? This is just wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you only have 3 movies that are maybe 2 hours long each, 2.5 hours max, and you're wasting probably a good hour and a half in this movie. Just like, not just, bad movie, just like legitimately just wasting time. And that's a big chunk of time for like, the 6 or whatever hours, 8 hours you have for this entire trilogy. You're just wasting that time. You don't get it back. That's what I was thinking there. Let's move down to some more points because this is going to be a long episode, but let's try to like sift through these.
Yeah.
Okay. Point 63. Another one of those lore-breaking things that have big implications. So basically, Rey leaves. Okay, so Rey beats the crap out of Luke because he sucks, apparently.
Yeah.
Leaves because she's like, I gotta go save Kylo. There's good in him. Which, like, I kind of like that little bit of optimism for her character. But, like, she Mary Sue's her way to do it.
Yeah.
And then, basically, Luke is at this ancient Jedi temple on his planet, and he's like, I'm gonna burn this temple and all the Jedi tech's in there. And then Yoda comes as a Force ghost and like controls the elements and uses the Force to burn the Jedi temple.
Yeah.
Cody, why is that such a big problem?
Well, first off, I didn't know the Jedi can really control elements now. There is such a thing as Force lightning, but it's called Force lightning, not lightning that you take from the sky. This isn't like Avatar. You don't redirect it and shoot somebody, like...
Word to Zuko.
Yeah. Like, Sith use Force lightning, and it's usually a Sith Force power because the Jedi don't usually use that kind of raw, damaging energy. And so it just doesn't make sense how Yoda, a Force ghost, is able to really do that. I know they talk about being a Force ghost is more powerful, like you're able to... Probably, I consider it in the sense that you can just live longer, you can't die.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you can start storms and pretty much make lightning appear. Yeah,
it's almost like one of those things where it's like your power comes in the sense that not like you've mastered death, but you've kind of conquered it in a way to where you can, like, your spirit and essence can live on. You're not shackled down by your physical body anymore. But, like, the biggest problem with this, it's so lore-breaking. Think about it. Like, think about all the Jedi that died or maybe became Force ghosts. Like, why didn't Ben Kenobi and Yoda help Luke against Vader?
I know, right?
Or the Emperor. Like, why isn't Yoda just the de facto military power that went to just go whoop Snoke? Like, this is just so many problems. Like, if he's this strong and obviously he's dead, like, what's Snoke going to do? He can't hurt him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but, like, now we've opened this can of worms because it's a good question for another time.
Yeah, exactly. My question is, why did Yoda appear now? Everything that happened with the First Order rising to power and all these lives being lost, and Luke kind of just sitting on the sidelines and letting this happen, why did Yoda choose to appear now instead of before to kind of like kick him in the head and say, dude, what are you doing?
Right. And like, it's a little too late. Like, he's failed like twice at this point with like Kylo and Rey.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make... And instead, he appears there because you think, oh, he's going to stop him from burning the text. And Luke kind of runs up there anyways. He kind of hesitates because he doesn't want to do it anymore. And Yoda just burns it anyways. And so, I don't know what their whole heart-to-heart really meant. I guess it was a way for Luke to realize, oh, I need to save the day or something.
I'm stupid right now. My character sucks.
Yeah, he does. Oh, I feel so bad for Mark Hamill.
I do. He hated that every minute of it. Mm-hmm. Such a great actor. Such a legendary. Anyways, we'll just keep this thing moving. We got to get through this as well.
Let's touch on 64 though. Like,
yeah, that's exactly, that's part of it.
Kind of like what we've been talking about. Just another point, just to make real quick, kind of ending with this whole scene and everything else we talked about before. Luke has pretty much learned nothing from the original trilogy. From learning from Yoda about the Force and how sacred it is, from learning about this how sacred and important the lightsaber is, and also learning how someone can come back from the Force. I mean, God, it irks me. Kylo did nothing as a Sith Lord, quote unquote. He hasn't really done much. But Darth Vader, he killed kids. He did a lot, and still Luke saw good in him. And here Luke has just abandoned all hope, and he learned nothing apparently.
Yeah, it's like Luke isn't a droid. He wasn't like gone through a memory wipe. You know, he had to have learned something from 3 freaking movies of him being the main character and growing and progressing that we saw. Like, none of that carries over. Again, that goes into the point kind of where Luke would never try to kill his nephew.
No, not at all.
Even if he knew like he was kind of going bad, Luke would be the kind of guy to believe in someone and just kind of try to help him go on the other path.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Direct him the right way as opposed... It's just stupid. Like, he tries to kill Kylo. It was just such a dumb scene. Like, there's no way he would kill his twin's son also that had with his best friend. That's also family, which is the most important thing to him. Family is literally the most important thing to Luke.
That was the whole premise of the original trilogy. It was father and son.
Right.
And it's just thrown out of the water with this whole sequel.
Stupid. Okay, here's another point that doesn't really mean much, but is kind of like anecdotal evidence. My wife fell asleep when they got to Canto Bight. Like, during that whole thing, she's like, I missed the entire thing. So that's some reference. Like, the movie's so boring, it sucks so hard. My wife was like literally just passed out on the couch.
Yeah, she even says she doesn't usually fall asleep during movies. She loves movies.
Yeah, she does.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Why does Finn care about Rose suddenly with the necklace? So also, this kind of ties into the plot point. When they're in jail, they break out because they find this random other master code breaker. Like, what are the odds of that? It's not even the guy they were looking for, because they had found the original guy but got tased and thrown in jail for a parking violation before. And then they find this random guy who saves them, and then like he's like, basically, I need some payment. Oh, that's a nice necklace. Like, that's worth a lot. Give it to me. And then basically Rose is like, okay, here. I don't care. Like, anything to, help the resistance, basically. Yeah. And then Finn cares about Rose now? When did that happen?
I don't know. Love interest.
It was just dumb.
Yeah.
It wasn't handled good.
No, they should have had them go through a bit more. I feel like if he had met Rose closer to the end of the last movie, maybe, and they kind of had a little bit of chemistry at the beginning, and then it kind of moved on to this movie, it would make a little bit more sense,
Yeah, they don't really have chemistry either.
No, not at all. Because they talked over each other's sentences when they're trying to figure out their plan on how they can, like, stop everybody from, dying. That's their chemistry. Which I guess you could say the same thing happened to Rey, because when they got excited about shooting a whole bunch of these TIE fighters, they did the same thing. So
stupid.
Yeah,
exactly. Kind of like what you're saying. Kind of, talk about chemistry. Where did Finn's chemistry to the Resistance come from? He became very goody-goody, especially when being explained. Like, there is an interesting plot point with the Codebreaker, who talks about morality, and basically like he stole a ship, and he's like, well, Finn basically makes a snide comment. It's like, at least you stole a ship from someone who sells weapons to the First Order. And then like the dude like looks and he's like, he actually sells weapons to the Resistance too. And then it's just like this interesting plot point of morality for Finn, which is actually perfect for his character.
It is.
But then it's just like completely dropped because Finn's like, I don't care, I'm Mr. Resistance now.
Yeah.
He just became like RoboCop with the Resistance.
Honestly, it would have been interesting if he had had some kind of struggle when he came back onto this Imperial ship and kind of was continuing to help them, right? It would have been interesting if he faltered a little bit or kind of questioned what exactly he was doing, Mm-hmm. And that would have been really interesting to see just after what he said there.
Yep. And also another problem I have, kind of going back to the Codebreaker, is like the Codebreaker breaks out of jail, but how does that mean he can suddenly break into the First Order's main flagship? That was another stupid plot point that we glossed over.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. This is another Holdo discussion, so buckle in. When asked Poe asks Holdo for a plan. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, hey, we're gonna die here. What are we gonna do? It's point 69. Nice.
Solid.
Basically, Holdo gives some metaphor about the sun.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She's like, something about hope, the sun, you can't see it, but there's hope. And it's like, makes zero sense in context when like Poe's like, he's not asking for life advice.
No, he's asking for a plan.
Yes, to get away from the First Order. And she's like, the sun, hope, brightness, trust me, shut up, Poe.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the dumbest thing.
Poe was literally here asking for hope, and she gave him a metaphor.
About hope.
Exactly. That it completely screwed it. Continued to screw Poe over because it was just a power move, honestly, in my opinion. She kept all this information from everybody just to show that she was in power and not him.
Yep.
And that really irked me.
And then that bleeds into point 70. Literally right after that, her unwillingness to divulge a plan to anybody leads to mutiny. Poe just does what he thinks he has to do. And he's capable of doing stuff like this. Like, he's literally put lives on the line to destroy a big ship. you know what he's capable of, and you're just gonna tell him to sit down, shut up, and you think he's not gonna do anything.
Exactly, because he's not just some random guy. He's a big leader and influencer with the Resistance. You can see that in the first movie, in The Force Awakens. You can see this in this one. And you can't just tell somebody who is freaking out because they're about to die, just sit down and shut up because I have a plan. I'm just not going to tell you. Someone who's important, especially like that, and not expect them not to do anything and retaliate.
Right.
And she has the nerves to get mad that it's a mutiny, and she can't because she kept her mouth shut. And honestly, because of her, a lot of more lives were lost.
Yeah, and this whole stupid side plot, which they could have, Canto Bight, they could have used it, developing relationships or maybe training or just learning more about anything was wasted on Canto Bight. But then we do learn kind of Holdo's master plan. Like they just kind of, I think they deduction figure out what's they're feeling the transports. You're just gonna abandon ship? Like that's her master plan.
That was Poe. Poe kind of pretty much put two and two together.
Stupid.
And that's actually what caused the mutiny. Poe was like, they have no way to defend themselves. You're gonna pretty much make them sitting ducks out there or fish to be shot in a barrel. They're waiting to be shot. And he's like, what are you doing? You're not protecting your people. You're not being a good leader. I have to step up now. And because she didn't explain the full extent of her plan, or even at all, there was, like you said, this mutiny, and everybody's freaking out, and there's a lot more chaos because of it.
Yep. And mutiny and stupid side plot and people dying and a lot of drama that didn't need to be there.
Exactly. The movie could have been a lot shorter if she would have told the plan.
It would have been like a 20-minute movie.
Honestly, yeah.
It would have been so much shorter. We wouldn't have had this stupid subplot. We would have just had probably more Rey and Luke action, which, could have been good.
It could have been really good.
But it wasn't. Okay, point 72. Phasma shows up again.
Wasted.
Kind of.
Wasted.
She just kind of shows up.
Yeah.
And what does she do?
She dies.
Well, I mean, before that, she just shows up. She just kind of walks in, then basically, they do nothing with her. No plan, no, master plot, no way to use her. So she's there, and it's like, okay, Phasma's back now, yay!
Pretty much, yeah.
Clap
And
your
so,
hands.
she's the leader of all the stormtroopers, pretty much. It's the head general of the stormtroopers. And so she pretty much your friend or whatever, who was supposed to be, the master codebreaker, betrayed you, so now we're going to kill you guys. Pretty much what happened.
Yep.
And then I don't know exactly what happened, how they even started fighting, but maybe something blows up the ship. I don't remember.
It was stupid.
Yeah, but they start fighting, and it's not even she dies in a battle against Finn.
Okay. We'll get to that point later.
You want to get? Okay,
we'll get to that fight because I have some thoughts on that. I have some thoughts on that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, then point 73. Basically, Leia wakes up out of her coma. Poe, you're an idiot, basically shoots him with a stun gun.
Yeah.
And then they're following through with Holdo's plan anyways. And basically Leia and Holdo are sitting there talking, and Holdo literally tells Leia, hey, yeah, I like that guy, I like Poe. Okay, you emasculated him the whole movie, made fun of him, made him look stupid. You told him to sit down and shut up. He literally performed a mutiny on you. What redeeming qualities do you see in Poe to like?
If you liked him this much, why didn't you tell him the plan in the first place? That's what really pisses me off. Why you are pretty much, again, it's a power move. Just trying to show your power by not telling him what your whole plan is.
Yeah, but how can you even say the words, I like this guy after all this? You find out he does this thing behind your back. She finds out about his little side plan, then performs a mutiny, causes so much chaos. How can you say you like this guy after that? You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense to me. It was just stupid.
Just whole character. I just hate the whole character.
Okay. Here's another thing that's just kind of minor, but kind of bugs me. 76. Holdo and everyone for that matter calls the Resistance rebels. The entire movie, they use it interchangeably, and that's an insult to the rebels, to me.
Yeah, I don't know if you put it on there, but it also kind of made the point when she calls them rebels too. She says Godspeed. Is there a form of God in this?
Probably. I mean, not that we know of.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, the opportunity to say "May the Force be with you" was perfect and lined up right there. But she said Godspeed, rebels, and I hated the line. It didn't really make me feel any more for her because of how she was performed and how she was showed throughout the movie so far.
Okay. Yeah, stupid. Whole those stupid character, a lot of stupid decisions, a lot of stupid.
Yeah.
78. Kylo, Snoke, Rey, all in the throne room together because Rey goes to, turn Kylo to the light side or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Snoke is shown to be able to bridge minds together, read minds, know everything about Kylo and Rey. Then this stupid scene where Snoke has the Anakin's lightsaber sitting next to him, and basically he's like, yeah, Kylo's gonna kill you. He'll never betray me. He's never gonna do anything bad. I can read his mind. I can read your mind. I can read y'all like open books. And then, boom, flicks on the lightsaber with the Force, Kylo does, and just chops Snoke in half.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? Like, how did he not notice? If, like, he was this powerful, right?
Exactly.
Rey tried to grab the lightsaber from him earlier. He noticed that.
I think they tried to play it as, like, Kylo was kind of, like, playing Snoke by turning both his lightsaber and the other lightsaber at the same time, and, like, also pointing the lightsaber at Rey and pointing it at Snoke. They pretty much tried to play it as Kylo was thinking that he was going to kill his true opponent by making Snoke think he was going to kill Rey, which again did not make any sense. It kind of just made the whole thing kind of dumb. Something that would have been really great to see is if Kylo kind of just did it without doing the whole long speech about how he can't be betrayed, because it kind of just made him look even less powerful and even more stupid.
It just made the whole scene stupid. Like, you've obviously shown him to be super powerful. He's throwing these like really strong, supposedly Force users around like little bouncy balls, little Foursquare balls across the room, and this dude just like can't sense a lightsaber turning around him or next to him.
I guess not.
It's stupid. Like, that whole death was stupid, and then just the implications of that death. They killed off the big baddie for the next movie. You've already made Kylo less intimidating from the first one. You screwed Hux's character up throughout this movie. And now you're killing Snoke. Like, I know this is coming out retroactively and we know it happens in the final movie, but, like, think about it at the time. Like, where do you go from there? Like, how do you build up a villain all in one movie?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. You can't do it because, like, especially since this is the second movie too. The last movie of the sequels is supposed to be pretty much the problem solver, the resolution. It's supposed to. We see the beginning, kind of set everything up, the middle exactly, and then the resolution in the third movie. And so you can't kill off the main bad guy in the second one and try and build up a new bad guy in the third one, and it just doesn't. It's just going to be too much chaos.
Yeah, there's not enough time.
There isn't, exactly, and they can't make. I don't know. It'd be like Darth Vader killing off Palpatine, and The Empire Strikes Back. It just won't work.
Yeah, but Vader was actually still cool.
He was, yeah, but
that's
like
the thing.
What would you do in the third movie? Everybody against
Vader's
Vader?
the big baddie, but you couldn't do that with Kylo in this one because you already screwed him up. At least Vader would have been more believable. Okay, he's the big baddie of the universe now.
But I mean, like, it would just be a 180 in my opinion.
Right? No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to highlight, like, this is way worse. Than if that had happened. Fair, you know what I mean? Like, I totally agree with you. Yes, it wouldn't have been, like, as good because, you wouldn't have had that redemption arc with Vader, tossing Palpatine and yeeting him into the Death Star and whatnot. But, like,
destiny.
This is way worse. This is 100% worse because you've already screwed your villain in the first one. You screwed another villain in the second one. And let's kill the other villain in the second one as well. Like, is there room for a third movie? No, there isn't. Like, I felt for JJ. Like, they tried, and we're going to talk about it and why it doesn't work in the third movie.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, after watching this film, like, what was JJ supposed to do? All the villains that JJ created? Screwed.
Yeah, they really did, though. And, yeah, I guess I kind of do feel for JJ. I'll probably be a little bit more sympathetic for the next one.
I won't.
But it's absolutely terrible what they did here. There's just, like, there's no coming back.
No, there's no coming back from it, which, next little point. The fight scene sucked after Snoke got killed.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead. You have more to say about this. Okay. They look like little Crayola things, first of all.
They really do. So, like, I've actually watched a whole video on this, too. Like, if you see the choreography in the prequels, even the original trilogy, they didn't have a lot to work with. It's just beautiful. It's a and art, honestly, what they're doing with these fight scenes, especially. Don't get me started on the Revenge of the Sith. That was amazing fight scenes, especially against Obi-Wan and, at the time, the newly appointed Darth Vader.
Oh, yes.
And so what they did here was, I guess they tried to do the same thing. But if you watch this scene closely, you will see two of the Red Guards fighting each other.
Why are they hitting each other?
Oh, no.
And then one misses Rey on purpose?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then another one is, like, facing the opposite direction of where the fight is happening. I don't know what they thought they were doing with this fight scene, but it was atrocious.
So, from what I heard with that fight scene is they wanted to do it all, like, in one take, one continuous kind of thing.
Oh,
so it had to all be choreographed, and, like, basically they tried to do it, and that was the best they could do, or they just didn't care enough to, like, make it good or
They
right.
must have not cared, because how do you, in the shot, it's not even that hard to, like, miss. You can't miss it. There are two Red Guards fighting
Praetorian guards, for anyone who cares.
Like, they really just did not care with this fight scene at all, and it just made them look even more stupid.
Yep, and then also what's more stupid is that Rey and Kylo are kind of working together to fight these guys. Not that part, that they're working together to fight them.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, actually.
It was like a cool little, thing. But then, like, the stupid part was Rey is just eviscerating these dudes, and Kylo's struggling.
I know, right?
Huh? Mary Sue much?
A little bit.
You know what I mean? Like, Kylo, obviously, we can, beat this point to death a little bit more, but he was trained by the guy who had these guys, as his guard. You know what I'm saying? You would think that he's more powerful than him.
Right, and you already see the potential these guards have by fighting each other instead of, like, their enemies. So, like, they can't be that hard to kill.
Missing on purpose, they're literally trying to make them wait. Okay, point 83. Yeah, there's this fight scene, blah, 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 with lightsabers, but why is Rian Johnson allergic to lightsaber on lightsaber fights?
I don't know.
Why? Like, we don't get one in this movie. Spoiler alert. Like, Rey and Kylo don't duke it out with lightsabers. At the end, Kylo and Luke don't duke it out with lightsabers. There's
stupid.
no lightsaber fight. That's unheard of for a Star Wars film.
Exactly.
Like, even in the first one, even if it wasn't, like, super long or crazy, Vader, Ben Kenobi.
Exactly.
Let's run through Empire. Luke, Vader again in Return, and then in the prequel, Darth Maul, and
oh my gosh,
and then you had Count Dooku in the second one, and then you had the freaking Anakin Obi-Wan climax fight. But, like, this is, I think, the only Star Wars movie where there isn't a lightsaber fight. Yeah, because The Force Awakens had one, and maybe The Rise of Skywalker doesn't have one either.
Well, The Rise of Skywalker, The Rise of Skywalker has, it's a little bit, honestly. It's not much.
No. So, like, why do these films not have lightsaber fights? This is Star freaking Wars.
I don't know.
This is like watching a sitcom without the laugh track.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? This is what it feels like. Why? Why Rian Johnson? The stupid creative decision. Okay. 87. Stupid. Okay. Holdo does this evasive maneuver, basically. She gets in her big ship and goes into hyperspace to, like, ram through, like, one of the First Order's big ships so the rebels could get away on their transports, which is, like, again, implications, context. If this was a viable strategy for space battle, why don't they just send, like, a little, like, TIE fighter or a little X-Wing through, like, a Star Destroyer or the Death Star?
Yeah, they wouldn't even need to shoot through the 2-meter hole.
Yeah, 2-meter hole. Like, that wouldn't have been a thing. You would just put that little thing on autopilot, have, like, a droid unit, like, hit that thing into hyperspace.
But I guess not.
But no, because of reason. Oh, good question. For another time. But it's not even a good it's a stupid plot point.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. It's just dumb. Okay. Kylo says, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. What does that even mean? I know it's a mantra of the movie, and that's, like, a lot of the stuff. But, like, how do you do that in an already established intellectual property? What do you mean, let the past die? You can't ignore the history of Star Wars.
Yeah, they use this quote a lot, actually. Well, Kylo at least says it a lot to Rey. And they want to, I guess they're probably trying to say that, hey, we're going to be this new Star Wars now. Don't worry about the past. This is what we're setting up for you guys. Don't hate us for not making it like the oldies. This is the new Star Wars, which is counterproductive and contradictory because the whole thing they're building off of these movies is nostalgia. everything throughout all three movies is just they just use it for nostalgia. Someone gives some kind of like heartfelt speech. Let's throw in A New Hope, the score, to make it seem like it's I don't know, amazing or something like that. It's dumb.
Makes no sense.
No.
And like it's like one of those things, like what if you went to the doctor and like let's just say you had like an underlying like disease, like let's just say you have heart problems in your family, and then like you're like, oh, I'm having chest pain, I think I might be having some heart issues, and then the doctor tells you to let the past die, kill it if you have to. Like, ignore your history, your family history. No, that's a serious problem.
Exactly.
Like, it makes zero sense. You see what I'm saying here? I hope you see like how stupid this is.
Oh man,
this is just dumb.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Okay. They all get down to that stupid salt planet. They're all trying to hold out. They're trying to break in the First Order, blah, blah, blah. Then Luke shows up. You want to explain kind of what happens with Luke a little bit?
So Luke kind of walks in dramatically. He talks to Leia for a bit about Han dying, and then he goes out to fight Kylo. And so Kylo comes out here, and we're like, all right, this is it. It's already the end of the movie, so you know there's going to be a big fight. That's what you're expecting. And so what happens is there's a little bit of dialogue. I don't even know. Kylo says, "You're not here to talk me out of like killing these people. We're not here to redeem me." And
you here to save my soul?
Yeah, Luke says no.
Like, nothing. Oh, can we rewind a second?
I was gonna say, yeah, we need to talk about how he talked with Leia.
No. Before that, even I missed something here. Super important. What? Rey's parents? They're nobodies.
Yeah.
She's a nobody. That's just a letdown. That sucks.
Because we all know, we were theorizing that she's a Skywalker throughout the first movie and throughout the second one until he said that.
And not identify as a Skywalker, like actual blood Skywalker.
Exactly, yeah. The good point. Thank you for throwing that in there.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the next one. I promise you. But yeah, anyways, talk about the Leia's cringe.
Yeah, so Leia...
Luke
says like to Leia, I don't think I'll be able to save him. I don't think I can. And then Leia's like, yeah, I already thought that he was too far gone. And then Luke's like, nobody is ever too far gone. Like, in this same conversation, he contradicts himself.
Oh, here it is, point 96. This is kind of how I did a synopsis of it. Go ahead and read it for the audience.
Okay, so Luke says, I can't save Kylo. And Leia says, oh man, he's gone. And then Luke says, no one is ever really gone. The contradictions is strong with this one. That's a quote from Kristen. You can definitely... I can't even think of words anymore right now. It's so late.
Yeah, whatever. It's stupid.
Skip over that. Yeah,
think about it. It does not know what the freak it's trying to say. Like, what am I supposed to make of that whole conversation?
Exactly.
Oh, you can save him. Or, what is it? Can you try to save him? No, what does it say?
I can't save him.
I can't save him.
Oh, no, you can't?
No, you can't? Well, I mean, no one's really gone. Like, what the freak? That's not what I said. Like, what?
Come on, Luke. What do you want, man?
Gosh.
Who
okay.
are you?
We got to talk about Finn and Phasma fighting. Very anticlimactic. Very stupid. Like, the fight isn't even good.
Dumb.
But also, the intro to the fight was the dumbest thing.
Oh, yeah,
okay. Literally, picture yourself over here. Just close your eyes. Pretend you're playing Mortal Kombat. Then Phasma comes out one side, and she goes, "You're a bug in the system." And then Finn jumps out on the other side, and he says, "Let's go, Chrome Dome." Like, it's Mortal Kombat.
Honestly, it is.
I didn't make that up. Those are actual lines in the film that I drew from. I can totally see that in a Mortal Kombat game, right? Like, that's all it is. Like, there's stupid little intros. It's like, why is the writing, not only the direction and the plot so bad, but why is the dialogue this bad?
Oh, it's terrible. And I know you guys will say, well, the dialogue in Attack of the Clones wasn't too great. Well, you know what?
At least the story was good.
Exactly. But yeah, no, they fight a little bit here and there, and she dies. She falls off of the bottom of the ship starts to break down, and she falls in, and that's how she goes. She was supposed to be this super cool like stormtrooper, you know. I remember when
she turned into Boba Fett.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And that's not my idea. That's Angry Joe.
Angry Joe.
I think. But he said it. One of his friends.
I remember after you left actually today. There's extras on Disney Plus, and you can kind of look through deleted scenes with the commentary, which makes no sense because it talks over the whole scene, and you can't even really watch the scene without hearing the director's voice.
Was it Ryan Johnson too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
So,
I wouldn't want to hear that.
There's a scene where they actually fight a little bit more, and she tries to call out Finn for being defective again, and he calls her out for
I think I've seen this one.
Yeah, he's like, I put a gun to your head and you pretty much sold everybody out. And the troopers are around her and everything. And so she guns down the troopers, kind of a way to show like how well she knows her way around a gun, and kills all the other troopers because they're about to kill her.
Like the First Order trooper, she kills her own people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just to like protect herself.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought it was a great scene that shouldn't have cut out. And so she goes to Finn, and I think she knocks him down or something, and that's when she says, "You're scum." And then he grabs a gun, he says, "Rebel scum," and he shoots her down.
He's not rebel.
Yeah, he's not a rebel. But I mean, that would have been a beautiful way. Okay, not even beautiful. It would have been a better way for her to go.
Satisfying.
Yeah, more satisfying, yeah. Because it was her going out in a fight, not just falling down.
Right.
That was
like getting
crap.
smacked in the face and then falling a little bit.
Yeah.
One tap.
It was dumb.
You're a bug in the system. Let's go, Chrome Dome. It's just the stupidest writing I've ever seen.
But yeah, this still on the conversation of fighting and unsatisfying battles happening in this movie. Let's go back to
Luke and Kylo?
Yeah, Luke and Kylo.
Here's my other point. So basically, spoilers, right? Luke isn't actually there. He's like force projecting himself there.
Yeah.
And he pulls out his blue Anakin Skywalker lightsaber, the one that Rey and Kylo, like 15 minutes earlier, were like fighting over like little children.
Yeah.
And then it splits in half and shatters.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Right? Like, how is Kylo like believing that's actually Luke?
I know, right?
If he has that lightsaber.
And doesn't look any different from the day that he left.
Right? I don't know, man. It was just the dumbest thing. They gave him his blue lightsaber that literally... It's like almost like they like edited it in the wrong sequence.
They they probably did. Let's give him a fight at the beginning of the movie. No. We'll just throw
it at the end, change the background, make it dramatic.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so Luke isn't actually there. He's like this force projection thing that I've never seen before. And like, they don't even fight. Luke just does some Matrix moves, dodges some lightsabers, more exposition, more like... not exposition, but more like dialogue between characters. Them just yelling at each other. And, like, the whole stupid thing, "You're here to save my soul." No, it doesn't explain anything. Just says, "You're wrong. We're better than you. Okay, bye, deuces," and then disappears.
Yeah, like, they don't fight at all. Their lightsabers don't even touch at all. Kylo just swings at him. And like you said, he just dodges it the whole time. And then, again, Luke contradicting himself. He says, "I'm not here to save your soul," but then he goes around and says, "I'm so sorry, I failed you."
The contradictions are strong with this one.
Kylo, I'm sure you are.
Good dialogue there, Ryan.
Amazing.
Okay, also, let's rewind a little bit before that. Speaking of another contradiction that really did bother me, remember when Finn was going to actually sacrifice himself?
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about that point.
Yeah, no, so that would have been great, because throughout the movie, in the first movie, we see that Finn isn't really a noble character. He looks out for him or Rey.
Which is a selfish thing.
Yeah, he's very selfish. He went against the First Order because he felt like he couldn't do it, and he thought he was going to save somebody's life, but honestly, he was just saving himself. Mm-hmm. And, he's just shown as a coward. And then, so we see this moment where Finn finally realizes that he has to sacrifice himself for the good of somebody else. And it's going to be a beautiful scene. And we're robbed of that because of Rose pretty much tries to save his life by running him over with her ship.
Yeah, so like the context of it is like the First Order has this big cannon thing, this big like heat cannon or something, and there's this like huge door to the base of the Resistance that they're chilling out on the planet, and like basically it's gonna burn through.
Yeah.
And like Finn's just gonna basically kamikaze into the middle of it to try to break it, and then Rose comes out of nowhere and like flies sideways and hits him out of the beam. T-bones, literally T-bones. And then what's the line that she says after that?
Oh man, it's better not to kill and hate, but to save those you love.
Right. So she literally says, "We're not going to win by killing what we hate, but saving what we love." But like, wasn't that exactly what Finn was doing? He was making a heroic sacrifice for the Resistance. He loves himself, obviously, but he's like, "I'm willing to give this up. We need these people to get away, be safe." And He's robbed of that.
Exactly.
And it's just like, again, the contradictions are strong with this one. This is what I'm talking about with this movie, dude. They don't know what the freak they're going for. They say one thing, do something else, and then you're getting mixed signals. It's like that one ex-girlfriend. You're not sure if she actually liked you, or like that one chick in class you're trying to like flirt with, and you're like not sure if she's into you. She's just giving you these mixed signals like all the time. She's like, I'm kind of into you, but also not really. Like maybe she's like, doing playful, like flirty, like physical things, but her words are saying something different. That's exactly what this movie is.
You're so ugly.
Yeah. But then she's like rubbing your shoulder.
I know, right? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? What do you want? Oh gosh, man.
This movie is terrible.
They've robbed us of so many different things, and we can't even blame J.J. Abrams for this movie because it's all Ryan.
You know what, Kody? I can blame J.J. Abrams for this. He made terrible characters, terrible creative decisions, and Ryan just threw them all away and left him with nothing for the next movie. But let's move on to our next couple points. There isn't a lot left. Here's a big one. Luke Skywalker's death. Disrespectful.
Oh, yeah.
So how does it happen?
So kind of how we talked about before, he was kind of force projecting to fight, quote unquote fight, I guess more talk with Kylo. So I guess this force projecting just gives out pretty much. Like it made him really tired. He pretty much had the equivalent to a force heart attack, I guess you could even say. So he pretty much snuffs himself out, I guess, to put it in a term.
The thing that really bothers me about this is the death itself was disrespectful. It wasn't heroic. It was like the Han Solo problem. It was stupid.
Yep.
But it also didn't make sense in the context of, like, why would he force project himself across the galaxy, leaving himself safe from Kylo's attacks to just, like, literally be written off?
Exactly. It didn't make any sense at all. And it bothers me the way they tried to pull on nostalgia a little bit here with his death. They try to do a whole full circle kind of thing with in The New Hope we see Luke looking off into the sunset as A New Hope is playing in the background to the Tatooine, not Tatooine.
Yeah, the Tatooine, the twin sons.
Yeah, the twin sons of Tatooine. And we see him die with A New Hope playing in the background as well on this planet with, for some reason, two suns sunset as well. And I guess they tried to make it symbolic or beautiful or whatever, but honestly, it just makes me even more angry the way they did that.
Yeah, they tried to make the moment all heroic and awesome, but fulfilling, but it just was the opposite of that, and it was like a slap in the face.
It was a waste.
The next point, the Resistance escapes, Kylo and his troops come into the base, but then you still see the residual Force link.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Like the Force link between Rey and Kylo, because they have like a little moment before, Rey and like the rest of the Resistance leaves on the Falcon. Like they have this moment where they're like looking at each other or whatever. Just like, how is that still there if Snoke's dead?
Exactly.
And he was the one who did it?
It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like none of that's explained at all. And it's just there. It just is. A good question for another time, perhaps. What else do you want to talk about?
Okay, let's just talk about this last point here, 106. What is the point of seeing the slave kids at the end, and how do they know who Luke Skywalker is? So, we kind of see this last shot of the movie. We see these kids that from the scene where they're trying to find the guy with the flower, and they try to save the animals and everything. These same slave kids are explaining what happened on this salt planet. What? How do they know everything that happened with Luke Skywalker and Ben? They don't, because they're on a whole different planet, and this happened not even moments ago. And so it doesn't make any sense how they're explaining how heroic Luke Skywalker was. And then they had this kid sent off in the distance with a broom in his hand.
Like it's Harry Potter again?
Yeah, like what? Is this kid going to fly off or something? Like what are they trying to do with the scene?
No, it doesn't make sense. Like, again, I think... Like, this would probably be a good wrap-up, kind of this whole long episode. But, this whole movie just makes no sense, and it just wastes a lot of time.
It does.
There's just so many questions. There's so many plot points that don't make sense. There's so many, jumps, and not even just, like I said, Star Wars logic, but just regular human being logic that doesn't make sense. It's just, and the movie can't even get its own messaging or figure itself out. It was just it's a poorly written movie, and it's pretty evident. I'm pretty sure Rian Johnson wrote a first draft, and then that was it.
Exactly.
There's like no edits for it, and it shows. It's a pretty bad movie.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, like what the second movie is supposed to do is answer a few questions from the first movie and create a few more questions to keep your interest that will be answered in the third movie. This whole movie just created more questions and didn't answer any of the first. Well, they answered a few questions in the first movie, which just caused more questions anyways. So it wasn't satisfactory at all.
And I think another big important thing about like the second movie of a trilogy like this is that it's supposed to push the plot forward.
Exactly.
And this movie did nothing to do that.
It had nothing. I don't even know what the plot was supposed to be.
No. And that was another thing kind of going into the Rise of Skywalker, which we will talk about on our next episode. Like going into it, watching it, I had no idea what the point of the movie was, what they were supposed to be doing, and neither did the movie ultimately when you sit down and watch it.
It was all over the place.
It was all over the place. But anyways, Cody, do you have any closing thoughts on The Last Jedi before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I guess I just want all you guys out there who are listening to realize as we're talking about how terrible these movies are and how terrible these characters are, that in no way allows people to go out and send threatening emails or texts to these actors or directors, like especially the actors. Like they just did they just worked with what they were given, and so it's kind of disappointing to hear and read about people who have like gone out of their way to send threatening texts to real life people over a character in a movie. Like we hate what happened with the Star Wars sequels, but it does not justify insinuating violence to somebody else who was just doing their job.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. Hopefully we don't have too many listeners who do that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I don't know if our audience is at risk for that, but kind of my closing thoughts with it, like The Last Jedi is not just a bad movie. It was the jumping off point for the decline and the fall of the greatest intellectual property of all time in Star Wars.
For sure.
Like this was the lowest of the low. It's taken a long time for it to even like come back to a fraction of what it was before. Like this movie single-handedly like killed Star Wars and made Marvel the new Star Wars,
honestly,
for the next few years.
It's crazy because like people used to think Jar Jar was going to kill off Star Wars, and here we are.
Actually killing Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's really sad to see it in the state now. I know there's some content kind of coming out that's a little bit better, but this movie was really a dagger in the heart of Star Wars fans and in Star Wars itself. So I know this was a little bit longer of an episode, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go back and watch the movie if you really want to. You can see a lot of what we're talking about. We're not just pulling things out from there.
Right.
And if you like the movie, it's fine. You liked it. Like it is what it is.
Everyone has their own opinions.
Yep, but like for us, obviously not our thing. But again, thank you so much for listening. Again, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, audience. You guys have a good one.
Good night.